Hi, it's Don Southerton, and another episode of Everything Korea Office Chat. I'm in winter garb today. There's a massive winter March snowstorm heading this way into the Rocky Mountains. The Rockies are right there. So pull up a chair, grab your coffee, and we'll have a little chat today. So let's get started. Yes, even though I'm about 6,000 miles and about a 16-hour time difference from Seoul, staying informed matters. Probably same for many of you. Tapping into these conversations in Korea can be more of an art than science, as relationships need to be maintained despite little opportunity to bond in person. Now, with a year of pandemic workplace restrictions in place, many norms and practices have dramatically changed. Zoom conferences versus meeting in person, fewer group meetings, events and gatherings virtual or limited in size, and of course, social distancing. Now, forming and maintaining relationships under COVID too has proved to be a challenge, especially for Korean teams, with limited after work dinners and opportunities for them to bond and mingle in person. Now, to give a little perspective of how it was in the past, you know, and the demand fueling networking, I once supported a Korean task force team, a TFT, in a global rollout. I would call one of the team a sawon, which is the entry level employee title for members. And I recall them sharing how frustrated they were with the need to spend an hour in the morning networking to stay current. More so, important time was spent probing for heads up on what projects were rumored to be moving forward and which ones were going to be axed. Now, layer on the fact that as a non smoker, they opted out of standing outdoors in sub zero temperatures as fellow workers, cigarettes in hand, clustered and huddled outside the corporate headquarters and networked. This meant they missed out on maybe a lot of key information. So, staying informed. Still with Korean business and amid COVID, staying informed matters. But how does one stay informed when in person, face to face meetings are not possible? In particular, how does one stay informed when a pending issue that would be best addressed in informal chats, one on one, and with networking, how do you accomplish it? Now, I'd add a nuance to this complexity. With globalization, Westerners who had once referred on company wide internal communications and high transparency, many are now supporting Korean companies but lacking the close personal ties that we see in Korea. It's not uncommon for the trust issue as information is coming in late, withheld, or filtered. In some cases, this can actually be one. Challenges in connecting due to just time zones. Where for me it's 16 hours. Next week I have a meeting that I'll be holding at 12:30 a.m. in the morning. With teams globally. Two, a general feeling that some Korean teams, to avoid potential risk, find it best to keep things in person, verbal, informal, and between friends. And three, most often what I see is that these discussions are subject to change. And there's going to be shifting and pivoting of priorities, which are really common in Korea. So they really don't want to get involved in sharing formally, even in email conversation, something, because it could just change in the next 24 hours. And so they would rather keep it one-on-one, personal, and as a, between friends. Now, there are opportunities for change. No doubt, as the pandemic restrictions roll back, teams will be able to interact more as before, not to mention resuming international travel. That said, in the wake of COVID, as we've seen with teams embracing Zoom and video conferencing to conduct meetings and to hold virtual events, so I see other opportunities. For one, the expanded use of internet messaging chat services, and my go-to favorite is Kakao Talk. I use it extensively. One benefit is that both Western and their Korean colleagues can communicate in real time, just like that personal chat, less formal and with a high degree of confidentiality. So if you're not using these with your teams, I advise you to do that. In turn, it will build these virtual relationships, which allow both Korean and Western teams to mutually give each other a heads up and to stay informed. So, all said, are there other workarounds? And I do have a couple of them here, so I've listed them. So many of you found my timely updates in coaching invaluable and career saving. My talks range from geopolitics to cultural events to drilling deeper into what may impact future business. And of course, this goes two ways. Korean teams have long requested my insights into the West, which I'm happy to give perspective. And second, in the best cases, savvy Korean and Western leadership have asked I keep their Western teams well informed and bring to them the attention of issues that could be seen as sensitive. Now, so these everything Korea office chats, by the way, look to inform, look to update, and keep you sort of in the know. If you have requests, they're always considered and always welcome. Again, thank you for subscribing to the YouTube channel, for liking LinkedIn. These all add to the, spreading the word, and I do really appreciate that. So, until next time, this is Don Sotherton wishing you all the best. For those in Colorado, stay warm.